Hey everyone, this is Aaron with Crypto Trends. Today, August 13th, 2019. Lot of news and interest around the PBOC, the People's Bank of China, and their digital renminbi. So we're going to be taking a look at that. We're going to be having an analysis of what is going on, why this is important, and how this is affecting banks or can affect banks, crypto, and countries. So this is an analysis of what is going on with the digital renminbi. Before we move on, first keep in mind that this is not financial advice, just my opinion. Alright, so first off, let's go take a look at Bitcoin, because some people are like kind of all over the place with Bitcoin. And all in all, it's just still moving sideways. This is pretty much just chop. This is on BTC USD for the 45-minute on Bitstamp. Yeah, good old Bitstamp. If we scroll out, let's go here to the 2 hour. And yeah, so what do we see? We're actually seeing increased of late, a lot of increased volume for the sells. So notice all the red. We had this declining area here of interest, declining volume, and then all of a sudden a big spike in sells. Yeah, you can. I'm looking for this to kind of like flip around and just continue like moving sideways along its trend. Something, you know, like this. So we'll just see what happens with that. I think that everybody is pretty much just kind of waiting and seeing what could happen. And this thing could dump down back to here, then bounce up. So we'll see. But for right now, Bitcoin is not very interesting. Pretty much moving sideways in this trend. We do have a line. Well, that was a terrible line, wasn't it? Let me get that off of there. We do have a downward, basically downward triangle slope where it's going, and so we'll just see. But it's really not that interesting right now, because I think everybody's just in like a wait and see type of thing. There's a lot of there's buy pressure and sell pressure and stuff like that, and it's like there's a fight going on. And anyway, it's just moving sideways. Okay, that's why I see it. This is just chop. This is on the 2 hour. If we go out to the day, let me put auto on here. And as we can see, it's still, this is long term, it's still on its general uptrend, okay? Yeah, we had a dip here, but whammo. Still on its general uptrend. This is a really long time frame here that I'm looking at. This point way back here is December 2011, okay? This is on Bitstamp, so there you go. Doesn't look like much happening. It does look like something could happen in the future though, right? So the question is this a lot of people are asking if it's an accumulation or what? Is it going to dump? Let's go here back to the 45-minute. Put auto back on. This is just like one great big old Bart, guys. Okay. Take the bottom here and the bottom here. It's closed, so we have a decision point of what's going on. Short term trend is this way, so yeah, it could go up here and then continue down over a little bit longer time span. So we'll see. Am I worried about Bitcoin in the future? No, but keep in mind I'm a long-term holder. I really don't care about, you know, what it's doing day to day. If we take a look at it on the week, you know, I mean, there you go. Okay. Anyway, it is what it is. So that's Bitcoin. Let me kill that now. So let's go to the topic. Digital RMB. What is going on with digital RMB? Well, there was an article here by CoinDesk on August 12th. And it was by Daniel Palmer. stating that, hey, China's central bank is close to launching official digital currency. Yeah, it's RMB, renminbi. So it's getting close, and they've actually been working on this for quite some time. And if you're a watcher of my channel, then we've spoken about this before. Take a look at this video. A link is below. It goes pretty much in depth into it. And this was done back on May, in the middle of May. Okay, so give that video a watch. Might find it interesting. But anyway, so here's this article here. They're just talking about how the PBOC is going to be launching soon. They also have 52 patents out. Hey, under the Digital Currency Research Lab of the PBOC. So that's like kind of cool and stuff like that. So really, what is a digital renminbi? It is, well, basically the yuan that's digitized. That's pretty much about it. So why is this important and stuff like that? Well, let's cover the digital renminbi, okay? And to take a look at this, to kind of get it into perspective of how this all came about and stuff like that, let's take a look at China's current situation, okay? So what do we have going on in China? We have Alipay and WeChat. Now, they're very popular payment mechanisms, which have basically enabled a cashless and cardless economy. Now, in the US, cards, debit cards, credit cards, and stuff like that are super important. People use them all the time. In China, hey, it's a cell phone with Alipay and WeChat. You can pay vendors on the street with your Alipay app, Whammo. They have like their QR codes posted. You want to go get some, a bowl of noodles? Hey, they have their QR code posted, Whammo. It gets paid. And that really works out for them pretty well. It's very prevalent. But what that's basically done is pretty much eliminated. I think there's only, not very many people use actual hard currency cash, we would think, in China. They're using Alipay and WeChat. They basically skipped the cards, like the ATM cards. Those are gone. They're just using their cell phones. In the US, it's, cards. And a lot of other places, cards. So anyway, so that's one thing that's going on. Okay? So these guys are not using a digital renminbi. All right? It's not out yet, right? But they're not using that, and they're doing their own thing. And these are corporations. Keep in mind, these are corporations, because that's important. Okay, so we know about these guys. That's what they've done. It's widespread in China. Everybody uses it. Okay, so second tier credit system, M2. That's what these guys basically are. Okay, they're M2. For the most part, you're not paying with hard currency per se. It's going to a middleman, and then things are getting paid. Okay, so it's a second tier. But the credit system M2, M0 would be actual cash, the currency, or the digital renminbi would be M0, okay? And if you wonder what all these M's are, it's for like money, and they have like 0, 1, 2, or whatever, and then they have L's and stuff like that. It has to deal with liquidity, on how fast something can actually be turned into a currency. So you have like savings accounts. They were a slower form of currency than just a cash, right? Cash being the quickest. And certificates of deposits, they would be like the really slow. Bonds, super slow. You guys get the idea. Anyway, so that's how the economists have classified it, the different types of money and stuff like that. So we have M2, basically the credit system and stuff like that, is pretty much controlled by the commercial banks and corporations. Okay? And this pretty much is like worldwide, okay? But in China, it's out of control. It's really out of control. So the M2 growth from 2007 to 2017, that's where these numbers are pulled from, was at 15%. while China's GDP was at 10%. So they're having 5% more growth in basically credit than they are in their domestic product. Okay, that's not such a great thing, and this is due to like a lot of real estate development and stuff like that. You know, they're getting real estate loans and stuff like that. The banks are investing in them, this and that. Infrastructure projects. Think of ghost cities. Have you heard of the ghost cities they have? Entire cities that are built that no one lives in. Okay? But the contractors got paid. The builders got paid. The people putting up the signs they're laying down the streets, all that done. But nobody's living there. Okay? And but what is happening in like a lot of stuff like this around China is that the capital has been routed to basically superfluous projects, okay? Just BS projects, okay? With no real impact on growth or productivity for the country. And a lot of fraud plays a role in these things, okay? You can think of, oh, gee, I'm a local politician or whatever, and I want to build up, I don't know, I want to get some cash flowing into my sector. Hey, let's go get these guys or whatever. And so it makes the guy look good or whatever. They could be getting paid under the table from the vendors, stuff like that. It happens. You know it happens. They really they really don't say too much about it, but a lot of fraud happens on stuff like that, and I'm sure you've seen it in your own countries, where you wonder why they built that. I remember there was way back, I don't know, like 15 years ago, where Congress was upset that somebody built an outhouse, basically a restroom. You know, for like travelers, there was a restroom, and I think it was out in the boondocks in the middle of nowhere, and they charged them $1 million. So that would be a superfluous project there. $1 million outhouse, only in the U.S., maybe in China next. But anyway, fraud does play a role in a lot of these projects where, you know, the banks are going after it because they're thinking, hey, we can get a loan and then we can put that on our books or whatever. Okay? So they really don't care. They just want to show that they're making money and stuff like that. Okay, additionally, the credit demand in China has increased. Okay, due to, declining exports. Declining exports, which is creating a downward pressure on employment and wages. And this in turn is reducing the tax amount, the tax revenue that the government is getting. Excuse me. Now, we have China. I mean, this is pretty much a worldwide thing, okay? The general economy, there's not a lot of production going on. There's not a lot of huge demand going on. Everything's down. This is really putting a lot of pressure on China. And it's making these other issues float to the surface, okay? And this has been going on for some time. All right, because China has been working on the digital renminbi since about 2014, 2015 time, okay? So they've been working on how to circumvent this stuff. So what else is going on in China? Well, commercial banks, if you didn't know this, commercial banks there offer a lot of wealth management products, they call them. They've increased basically from 0.5 trillion, so half a trillion renminbi, to over 30 trillion renminbi. That's from 2007 to 2017. That is a huge increase. And many of these products, well, they're really not on the bank's balance sheets. Yeah, this is part of what they call shadow banking. It's their shadow banking practices. And they're frankly designed for non-factual reporting of revenues to decrease the incurred tax expense. Yeah, they're skating around what they what's truly on their books. Okay, what's truly on their books, and this is affecting the M2, the credit system, and it's affecting the numbers because you have the actual monetary supply, which is controlled by the central bank, and then you have the commercial banks, which is screwing with the M2, the credit. So you could think of as you either have cash or you have credit card. Okay, credit card M2, cash M0. And so let's say credit cards don't report stuff quite right. Hey, what's that going to create? Well, less. It's the credit card companies, if they do these wealth management products, they call them. They don't report them quite right, and so the government has seen a lot of loss in tax revenues. Okay, so we have also in China overall we have like poor allocation of funds. They're putting funds toward kind of like not so great projects because of whatever, right? They have banking fraud, a declining economy, a declining GDP, all result in suboptimal tax revenue for the country. In addition to that, China's basically has pretty much lost control of the credit market. There's a lot of trade pressure of late. There's also civil unrest in Hong Kong. And these all suggest that China is really in need for a radical change of its financial system. That's basically it. Okay? Now, with the digital renminbi, the PBOC can more effectively control and regulate the overextended debt market. That's one of the things that they're looking at doing, is being able to take back control from the commercial banks and the corporations as far as the credit expenditures, to bring them, to get their hands around it, because they're losing control, but yet it's affecting the country as a whole. So also the digital renminbi will also make it a lot more difficult to hide these banking practices and services. So they won't be able to hide them on their balance sheets. Everything will be tracked, controlled, and taxed in the future. That's pretty much the goal of the digital renminbi. It's to get the tax for what the government is due. That's about it. There's a lot of fraud, there's evasion, etc. Okay, so this is what the digital renminbi hopefully will solve, is a lot of the stuff to bring back control to China. Okay, that's what they want. So what are the key elements of the dRMD? Now, I got this list from this article here, and the link is below. I highly suggest you give it a read, and then you read it again, and then you watch my video on this. Yay, because this video basically covers this document. Okay, but very, very important document. This was written back in May. So anyway, what we have here is, I just took this excerpt here. We have key elements. For the renminbi, a digital renminbi, a PBOC managed private cloud as the IT infrastructure. So they want to have this on a private cloud. Okay, we all get that. It's going to have a database in the private cloud to allow the PBOC to exercise full control over monetary issuance and ledger management. So yeah, the monetary issuance. Okay, great. That's like what the Federal Reserve does to an extent. Also, a reserve database accessible by commercial banks. Hey, wow. So the PBOC is going to have a database. Not the commercial banks, but the commercial banks can tap into it. In other words, it's going to be a single location for truth. Oh no. That's bad news for commercial banks. Truth. Okay, so continuing on. So this, so the commercial banks will be able to tap into this database, okay? And it can either reside on the PBOC private cloud or on a bank's own private cloud. But one of the important things is that it's going to be a single source of truth, okay? The digital renminbi wallet client. Yeah. They're going to have a wallet. will be published and maintained by the PBOC that's used by all entities, i.e. corporations and individuals. Oh, there's my phone. Let me just turn that down. The magic of live streaming, huh? Looks like a telemarketer. Anyway, sorry about that. Yeah, so they're going to have a wallet. They're going to be having a wallet published and maintained by the People's Bank of China, and everyone is going to use it. Everyone. Okay? Companies as well. They're going to track it, and that's how they're going to ensure that things get tracked. Also, here's a really interesting line here, a key element. They're going to need a verification center where the PBOC can manage institutional and user identity information. Isn't that interesting? Now, there's a crypto out there called the Key, which ticker is TKY. This is what they do. Okay, they tap into government databases, and they have user identity at the government level. If they're still alive, let's hope that the Key is still alive. But if they are, hey, this is like where the Key can come in. Okay, for providing the user identity information. Okay, so moving on to other key elements. A registration center which records the registration of currency ownership. Oh, so they know that you own your dollars and you don't own someone else's dollars, that they're actually yours. Ooh. And keeps a ledger of digital currency generation, circulation, and inventory management. Yeah, they need to track everything. Who has what they spent it on, and that's just it. If there was credit, that's how money got generated. How that all came about. They need ways to control and to manage their monetary system, because right now, by the looks of it, they haven't been doing a very good job. Things have kind of gotten away from them a bit. Okay, also for the digital renminbi, a big data analysis center used for anti-money laundering, payment behavior analysis, yay, our favorite, and analysis of regulatory signals. All right, yeah, so they need to cut down on the money laundering part and the payment behavior analysis. Hey, this is like what they can do is they can do forecasts on what they think you're going to buy, on what products people are buying, where's the money currently going, what's hot, what's not, that type of thing. Also, they can give some type of incentives to affect proper buying behavior, proper purchasing and saving behavior, that type of stuff. Okay, yeah, it's Big Brother, but it is what it is. Okay, so really the digital renminbi can police individuals. It's the personal spending history and the asset balances are immediately evident on the blockchain. It's all going to be on that ledger, right? On the central database in the cloud, the ledger of the PBOC, or one that the PBOC controls, that single source of truth. And this will make it a lot easier, much easier, to accurately assess creditworthiness of individuals, detect the money laundering, and prevent tax evasion and capital flight. Okay. So we have some things here. What do you guys think about that? It can also be used to restrict movement and encourage acceptable behavior. So I don't know if you've seen any comments or tweets or anything like that about the Hong Kong situation, where people are standing in line to buy basically subway tickets, train tickets with cash instead of using their little octopus quick pay card. Yeah, it's because they don't want to be tracked. So there's lines for purchasing like a ticket, a one-off ticket on a train, as opposed to just having a quick scan card where you just scan it while you're walking and it picks you up and it says, oh, this is you and you're getting on this train at this time. You go buy cash, wham, no identity really needed. And so you can just travel in anonymity. Yeah. So they won't be able to track you that way. And that's like a big thing right now in Hong Kong, especially for those that are demonstrating. Yeah. So keep that in mind. Hong Kong is not, they can see what's coming down the pipe. Okay. They can see what's going down the pipe. Another thing that so that's some of the things that digital renminbi can do. Okay. Now another interesting thing is that as far as foreign investment projects go, think of the One Belt, One Road initiative. Okay. Now China could require that the projects could use this digital renminbi, okay, for project integrity. In other words, vendors, suppliers, and contractors and other expenditures where they come from could all be tracked and managed to prevent fraud, to conceal like capital flight schemes, and basically to make money laundering a lot more difficult, because you could have somebody saying, okay, well, I need to get my money out of here. Let's go build a project. And let's go build an outhouse in Italy, let's say, on the edge of a dock. Okay, because they have shipping. Why they need an outhouse on the edge of a dock, I don't know. But it could cost $1 million. Okay. But in reality, it only cost a contractor, say, $50,000. But he had to pay $1 million for this outhouse. So in other words, he's taken the $50,000, the million less $50,000, and he's like cashing that in or putting it into a bank somewhere in Italy or doing whatever with it. That's what they want to prevent, stuff like that. So they could say, hey. If you're getting money from the One Belt, One Road initiative, if you're on one of our projects, or this is just a Chinese project, then you pretty much got to use the digital renminbi for you, and your vendors need to accept it as well. We could happen. And they might say, oh, I'm not taking the digital renminbi, and say, oh yeah, you can cash it in for Bitcoin. Oh, okay, fine. So, there's ways to entice vendors and stuff to accept this digital RMB. So we'll see. But the whole thing, if you look at this whole thing of like China and stuff, economically it's not doing so well. And they are being screwed by the commercial banks. Basically, yeah. And then they have the people not wanting or trying to evade and get their money, evade taxes and to get their money out of China. Yeah, because they're, for whatever reason, this really blows me away. They think that the money that they earn is theirs. It's not. It's China's money. That's the thing. You have money in China because you're allowed to have it. That's simply all there is to it. It's not China's money. It's not a person's money. It's China's money. All it is in China is a means to control people, and people are finding ways around that control, and that's really a bummer. And so the digital renminbi will help bring that in line, so they control the people and the banks, and get a handle on the credit thing, because people are getting credit, whether to buy stuff or whatever. And let's say you make a bad tweet on Twitter or Facebook or whatever. They want to be able to know that and say, okay, you want a car? You want a car loan? Well, I'm sorry, you don't qualify because you made your social credit score, which they've been working on. Their social credit score is too low to authorize you for a car. And you can say, well, I have cash. I have this bag of digital of regular renminbi of yuan. Okay. And they'll say, no, we still can't take it because you are not authorized to purchase a car with the cash or not. Ooh, Ooh, isn't that interesting? Anyway, so that's about it. It's the digital renminbi is all about control, and it's to bring back control of the government away from the banks, which is quite interesting because in the crypto world you hear a lot of people speaking poorly about banks and stuff. Well, here is China actually doing something about the banking fraud that is going on, and they have definitely experienced. So they are doing something about it. So how's this going to look for the banks that are there, the big commercial banks and stuff? It doesn't look so great for them. Okay, they're going to have to start reporting factually. Otherwise, they could be in big trouble. That's a problem for banks because they don't know how to do that. They're not very good at it. And you think this is just in like China? No. No. Have you ever heard of LIBOR? LIBOR. Well, it's basically an index which a lot of loans are based on. So if car loan, house loan, that type of thing. They say, okay, yeah, we'll base it on LIBOR. Well, if you look into the history of LIBOR, a lot of banks have gotten together and agreed upon what the lending rate should be. Yeah, behind closed doors, of course, which is against the rules. And they've been fined for this. So, in other words, they're basically ripping off everyone who's getting a loan because they're fixing the lending rate. This has happened worldwide. So with this worldwide occurrence of the banking fraud and stuff that's going on, China's actually taking a first step. They're actually taking a first step, not only for the banks but the corporations, of just really trying to make things the way they should be instead of the way they are, as in fair and accurate reporting of the business that they're doing. And we'll see how that happens, but you could look at this as like a good thing, or, well, if you're a company that's into ripping people off, this is a bad thing. But for China, this is actually a really good thing because it will help them get out of their, well, it's just to be frank, they're like not doing so hot, and their future outlook does not look so great. Okay, as China as a whole, as far as their GDP and stuff goes, they're like they need to implement this and implement it fast, that type of thing, and regain control because there's a lot of forces at work. But anyway, that's basically the digital renminbi and how this can affect the banks. Well, if everybody starts requiring or starts implementing something like this to where everything is tracked in the funds and stuff like that, and they can start seeing misallocation of funds or the absence or excess of funds than what should be that doesn't jive with the ledger. That does not jive with current banking practices. Okay, so as a whole, you can pretty much, this is in China, you can pretty much, for one, the banks get on board and report correctly and start having real truthful practices, or it's going to be their demise. And given the bank's inability to tell the truth, yeah, I'm giving it more of a chance for their demise, and just have the central bank pretty much control everything. So if you're a commercial bank in China, your prospects of the future don't look so great. Okay. Anyway, so that's about it, guys. Give me what you think about the digital renminbi. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I'll just leave it at that. So I'm going to go over, see if anyone's on the chat, and take off from there. So hey, there are people. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. Oh, don't forget to like, subscribe, and get notified. Okay, that helps out the channel a lot. I appreciate it. There's Dances. Hey Dances, howdy. Audio is a little muffled. Oh no. Okay, well, I have it turned up quite a bit. Maybe I was talking too close to the microphone. That happens sometimes. Just reading some comments here real quick. Yeah, and so have a thing here from Mega Marklar wondering if the digital currency will be tied with the TKY, since TKY is tied with the PBOC. Yeah, it's the key. And no, I'm not losing faith in the key. We haven't heard anything from them in a while, and it's because there's been a lot of pressure on getting this thing done, okay? And so I think they've just been busy at work and haven't put anything out because they're currently figuring things out, okay? And it's just not time to express or to comment on what's going on before they get the official go. But the key, as far as the identity verification aspect of it goes, they've actually been working with the PBOC for a while. They have employees in the PBOC that are working like in-house trying to get this thing figured out. And it's all about payments and verification and stuff like that. So the key can help with the social scoring aspect of it. Keep track of your social scores. Also, the really important part of the key is, the identity. So when people go to make a purchase or something to get a loan, there's a lot of fraud in China, and people are faking identities and stuff like that. And so people take out a loan against somebody else, fake ID, that type of stuff. Anyway, the key is there, so corporations can utilize the key, have a biometric inputs, so like facial scans, retina scans, palm prints, etc. Go query government databases, spit out, okay, this is the person. And so the corporation can see, okay, does this person, who they actually say they are? If so, okay, fine. And then go from there. For like doctors' office visits and stuff, you want to make sure that the person there getting the treatment is the one that's actually paying for the medical insurance, that type of thing. And as far as crypto goes, hey, they want to prevent capital flight. Are you allowed to send money out? Okay. If you want to, I'm assuming that, yeah, there's going to be a crypto exchange in China. And so they're going to say, okay, are you authorized or able to get on to an exchange? Okay, fine. Have the TKY there. Okay, you are who you are. You can go ahead and get on the exchange. And then as far as the withdrawals go, hey, you want to transfer to your bank account in China? Yeah, that's cool. If you're a foreigner and you want to transfer it out, yeah, that's cool. If you're a citizen of China and you want to transfer it out, oh no, that's not cool. You can't transfer your coins to an external wallet. That's not cool. But you can cash them out, buy more on the exchange, cash them out to our local bank, so we don't have the capital flight going on. And so I think the key can be an integral part of that, So when it takes off, it could be absolutely huge. I'm not saying buy the key, sell the key. I am suggesting you do your research on it. There's a ton of information on the key, and I've done a few videos on it. Oh yeah, Go Irish Go says, yeah, if the key's still alive. I only say that because we haven't heard from them for a while. And I think it's because they've just been so dang busy, because Facebook with the Libra coin has put a lot of pressure on not only the US on trying to get things figured out, but especially on China. Okay? Because it just added more pressure to the other stuff that they have going on there. Yeah, so Jay Shaw says, when government fears the people, there is liberty. When the people fear the government, there is tyranny. Yep, absolutely right. When the government is no longer working for the people but working for themselves, that's a problem. And we've seen that all over, right? All over. That's one of the reasons why crypto is so popular. Yeah, and Dieselhound says Vechain, baby. Yeah, Vechain is helping with the fraud and stuff like that on multiple levels on the product side. And I mean, the fraud in China goes so deep. And it's a historical thing. They've been known for fraud throughout their history. They used to have, let's say the scientists and stuff like that, okay? They'd write down false information. And people would rely on it and this and that. And anyway, it got to a point to where all of a sudden the emperor said, hey, if you document something, write down something and it's false, you're going to be put to death. And so they started writing factual stuff. And so a lot of the older documents, I'm talking like, several hundred years and back, older documents are truthful. They're based on what was observed and stuff like that, okay? Interesting stuff. Any thoughts on Tezos? No thoughts on Tezos, sorry. Don't follow him. Leonard wants to know what's my opinion on Jur and OceanX Go. Jur is an interesting project. We're looking at putting real basic type of legal documents on the blockchain, okay? And so it can pretty much act as a means of like a notary does, saying, okay, this person agreed to this, and so you have like a contract or whatever, and so like it's on the blockchain and stuff, just real simple stuff. And they're looking into putting more complex legal agreements on Jur and hence the blockchain. So we'll see. It's an interesting project. We'll see where it goes. Quite interesting. Also on how that will tie in with San Marino. Very, very interesting project. Could be something of the future. So I'm just following it. As far as OceanX Go and stuff like that, it's not really any thoughts on that per se. I do like OceanX as a whole. That's for sure. As far as their Go and their coins that are putting on there, it's like too early to tell. Okay, so we'll just see. Given the benefit of the doubt, I'm hopeful about it. So we'll just see. But anyway, that's about it. So thanks for watching, guys. Have any comments, put them down, like, subscribe, get notified, and have a wonderful day.